I wanted to discuss with you the first lesson plan and the idea that you have two creative lesson plans that you're going to be creating, which will be added to your unit. So here are the expectations for the creative lesson plans. I've also put it in your projects folder as well as the expectations here. So you're going to be developing next week one of your two creative lesson plans. And your creative lesson plan has to have specific criteria, which I'm going to explain in just one moment. One of these plans you're actually going to be doing a mini lesson on, which I'll explain a little bit later actually in our next class. But you're going to create these creative lesson plans, adding some additional content in there to make them, as indicated, creative. So what you're going to need to do is determine whether you're going to have a 90 block schedule or a traditional schedule of 50 minutes. Two of your lesson plans will be 90 minutes and two of your lesson plans will be 50 minutes, just so that you can have the difference of planning for two different settings, whether it be on a block schedule or a traditional schedule. Now remember, if you are doing a 50-minute lesson, you're not restricted just to 50 minutes. You can have a lesson that spans more than just one day. So even though it's 90 minutes or 50 minutes, again, your lesson, depending upon what your content is and what you want to accomplish in your objectives, it can be more than just one 50-minute period. It could be 2 to 3 days. And just to indicate how that would look, I'm going to click over to show you. So this is an example of actually an old lesson plan format, but notice that the lesson plan is broken down by day. So in this case, this is their focus or launch, which was called an anticipatory set. And this is set up by day 1, indicating the minutes. And then when you look at the instruction, you'll see day 1, they're doing on the first day. And then the second day, it indicates what they're going to be doing on the second day, along with the minutes and timing. Your lesson plan format is just a little bit different. They also have the assessment part, which in this case was called the understanding check, and this was broken down by day as well. Notice this, the specific amount of points for to show accountability. You're going to definitely need to make sure that you are as specific as possible. Even if in your own, if you're currently teaching and you aren't required to be this specific, for this course you have to be very specific. So in advance you're going to be thinking about what types of points that you'd be including. So this is just an example. Okay, the first lesson plan, and this could be lesson plan 1 or lesson plan 2 as long as you include the criteria in either one. But what you're going to be doing for lesson plan 1, or again, lesson plan, could be lesson plan 2, you could switch those around, is you're going to need to include an instructional game in the lesson, along with a minimum of at least 2 or more different active learning strategies that you found in your Things I Never Learned in College book. So if you're unsure of what an educational game is or an instructional game, we're going to be covering it in today's online class. But you can also go to www.ask.com, or you can do a Google search and you can get an idea. You can also go into Teachnology for instructional game ideas, which we're actually going to be covering today in our online class. So one of your lesson plans, whether it be lesson plan 1 or lesson plan 2, needs to incorporate an instructional game. That game could be in the beginning, it could be in the instruction, it could be as part of the assessment, it could be part of the structured practice. The next one, lesson plan, is something a little bit different. You're going to have a lesson plan, but you're going to incorporate some type of popular culture, some type of popular media. So for example, you're going to need to base a lesson using ideas or themes found in broadcast media, such as a television or a movie, a television show or movie, along with at least 2 or more different active learning strategies found in your book, The Things I Never Learned in College book. You can include ideas such as television reality shows like The Apprentice, Survivor, Home Show, Shark Tank, American Idol, or maybe some type of suspense show like Law and Order. Students can you can make examples of it, you can show videos of it, you can redo scenarios, you can have students do this in a variety of different ways. But this is how the creative lesson plans, what is expected. So again, lesson plan 1 has some type of an instructional game, and lesson plan 2 has some type of a broadcast media or some type of popular culture reference. So that's what that is. It's going to be graded based on a rubric, and notice that this rubric has points for each section of your lesson plan, your central learning focus, your assessments, your instructional strategy and learning tasks, as well as your artifacts, which would be your lesson handouts that you're required to have a minimum of 3. Also remember that your student learning goals or your objectives, you have to have at least 3 to 5 learning goals or objectives. Those are the ones that follow the ABCD format, where you'll start with students will be able to. You'll include a behavior that's specific from your standards book. You'll include a condition that the students will do something either by or through, and then you'll have a degree at the end. How it's evaluated is based on this criteria. So you'll notice that it's clear that you would understand what consists of 2 points, what consists of 4 points, what consists of 5 points, what consists of 6 points, and what would consist of 8 points based on the rubric. Now, if you have any spelling, grammar, punctuation error, I take off 1 point for every 3 errors, and that is in addition to the any kind of errors that might be found in your content located below. And also, if you don't do your introduction section correctly, where you include a creative lesson title, then you'll lose points there. So make sure that your lesson title is creative as well. And last but not least, I wanted to point out the template. You'll be using this template. You'll be typing into these boxes the information. Remember, it is better to be more specific than less specific. You'll need to have a formal assessment, an informal assessment. Make sure that you have points for both the informal and formal. Even if you have just a plus-minus system for the informal, based maybe on 3 to 5 points, you want to include that because you want to make sure that you're always making your students accountable. And the only way to make them accountable is to have some kind of consequence. And in order to have a consequence, you need to have things worth something. In your launch and instruction, you have to not only include what you're going to be doing in a detailed manner, but you have to include the minutes as well as for structured practice. And your closure, remember, if you have questions that you're going to be asking your class as part of your closure or as part of your other instruction, you actually have to think of those questions in advance. And then lastly, make sure that you don't forget about differentiation and plan support, and think about how you would address the whole class, groups of students with similar needs, individual students, students with IEPs, and then some types of strategies for responding to common errors or misunderstandings. And you can look at the examples for more ideas. When you have the materials, you're going to be indicating or bullet pointing what materials they'll need. And then resources, this is where you'll indicate what your artifacts are, and then you'll be attaching or in a separate file including your other your handouts that you'll be including. Remember, you need to have a minimum of 3 artifacts or handouts or resources. And if you don't have 3, you'll need to go back to your lesson and recalculate it or examine it so that you do have at least 3 artifacts. I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll look forward to reviewing them. Have a great day.